I'm Jesse Urban.
And I'm Lindsay Urban, and we have 3 small kids.
We've been attending CLF for 6 years. When we started attending CLF, I was in a comfortable job, and Lindsay was a stay-at-home mom. I would say after the birth of our second child, Brecken, we started questioning, are we just going through the motions? When we started coming to CLF was a major turning point for us, because we were finally talking real with each other about what's God's plan for our marriage, what's God's plan for our children, what kind of legacy do we want to leave behind. God really started revealing some things in my life personally that I was keeping from Lindsay, that I was kidding myself with. God started saying, all right, you want to live for me, here are some things that need to change, and stop kidding yourself. Right around this time, CLF started kicking off life groups pretty strong, and we decided we had just built a beautiful, large house, and one of our justifications when we built that house was we want to have it be a place where people come together, and we were using it for God's purposes. And so we felt like we should have this group meet at our house. And that setting, having a group of other Christians that we were able to just hammer through life and what we're struggling with, and again, go from being real about our marriage and raising our family to being real with other Christians, being authentic.
I think that's where the ball started getting rolling with how we got intentional with being all in with God. We just built this big, beautiful house, and we're so proud of it, and we just loved it, and we had our plan for our life, that we would be there for the rest of our life. We would raise our kids there, we would have grandkids there. But on the same token, it was dragging us down, and we realized that.
It was in that same season where we started feeling like giving of our finances, of what God's blessed us with from a material aspect, wasn't everything that He wanted from us. So God started revealing to us what we were gripping too tightly. And you've got your fingers closed over something, and God just starts prying those fingers off of it one at a time. And that was very much happening with us, where it didn't take too long that we realized everything that was holding us back from whatever God would have in store for us kind of revolved around the house we just built. So it wasn't a very hard decision. We just put our house up for sale. We're like, pry a finger off.
There was a lot of questioning for me on where I stood with this house. I thought our hands were wide open with this house. It was scary. It was sad. It was unknown. Where would we live? But this is the house that we planned to be in. Why would God rip this from our grasp? But then I realized, like, that's me with a closed hand with this house. And in order to see what He could possibly have in store for us, I had to just lay it down before His feet.
If God calls us to do something, what's holding us back from doing that? And that was something we just kept questioning. We looked at everything through that lens from that point forward, and we just started Xing them off the list. If we're living for God, that means that we can't live for ourselves. We can't live for this business. We can't live for our kids. We can't live definitely not for a house. So that's when it went up for sale. It was Mother's Day. We surprised my parents and went to their church for a Mother's Day service, and their pastor was going on sabbatical leave. It really stirred up a lot of conversation for us when we came home. We were talking about, man, pastors face all the same temptations, problems, and more so in a lot of cases. And that night, we started just feeling this deep
mourn for the pastors.
Yeah, this was something that we cared about a lot. It was like God all of a sudden gave us his heart for pastors and what they endure, and we knew we had to do something about it.
We quickly realized that God had a retreat for us in mind of what we were supposed to do, and we had the property that Jess's parents have, and we saw that would be a perfect place to have pastors come out and be renewed and restored, have cabins where they can go off and just be.
He really started developing for us what Be Still was supposed to be. Going through my own questioning of whether I should be a pastor, I started hearing about 50% of pastors don't make it. That new pastors, the burnout rate, that's the reality of it. God started revealing these things to us and what he needed Be Still to be for pastors in our area and across the nation.
And we want them to feel, walk away refreshed and rested and renewed and filled back up with him for all the times that they are filling into us and everybody else. We want them to be filled back up. Being all in for God and trusting him with everything is the most terrifying decision that you could possibly ever make, but it also is the most exhilarating and the best journey you could ever take for your life.
Once you make that choice that God is real and I'm all in for God, you better hold on, because it's
a wild ride.
it's a good wild ride.
Yeah.